receives two global awards for its 40th anniversary $2 commemorative banknote.
Vibes cartel and co-accused to remain behind bars. CARICOM welcomes appointment of new prime minister in Haiti. Internationally, Israeli forces have pulled out of much of northern Gaza, particularly Jabalia refugee camp. Now the details. Former Minister Janelle Powell has continued to question the organization of the Think It's Music Festival, specifically concerning the local marketing efforts for the marquee summer event. Tourism Minister the Honorable Marsha Henderson, in response, dismissed the criticisms of the local marketing as ignorant. She acknowledged the late timing of the local marketing, but expressed her belief that it would not significantly impact attendance.
Right, and that's interesting because music festival is a part of the tourism product that is intended to bring visitors. And while locals patronize the events, the marketing initiatives are usually done in the source markets. So even though the hype on the ground, we have to work on the hype on the ground to boost sales and all of that. Of course, we accept that it's late, but where it matters in terms of tourism is where the marketing is done overseas. And I think it's ignorance or people looking noticemen, for want of a better word. But the marketing initiatives are done in the source markets because it's intended to bring visitors to our shores. And that has been ongoing. In Music Festival, we've been working in the US and the UK and even regionally to sell the festival. Here on the ground, the marketing team has started their efforts in terms of promoting the festival, and as much as we're late, I don't think it's going to significantly impact attendance at the festival as it relates to locals. So marketing to locals and marketing in the source markets are two different things.
The minister suggested that the flights to St. Kitts and Nevis should be evidence of the impending success of the upcoming 3-day event.
And if you check the flights, up to yesterday we checked JetBlue, and if you go on JetBlue, you will see the flights are sold out for the entire of June. America now has introduced additional lift just for the festival, and if you're monitoring them, you'd see those as well are being sold out. But JetBlue is sold out completely for June, which means that the marketing and the promotion is resonating, whether it's for the music festival or for the destination on a whole, is resonating where it needs to resonate. And we will work on the hype and creating the buzz here on the ground as well.
The 26th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival will be hosted from June 27th through 29th, featuring 32 local, regional, and international acts.
The St. Kitts headquartered Eastern Caribbean Central Bank ECCB is the recipient of two prestigious international awards for its 40th anniversary $2 commemorative banknote. As declared on the institution's weekly program ECCB Connects, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank captured the 2023 Banknote of the Year award from the International Banknote Society IBNS, and also the award for Best Limited Circulation Commemorative Banknote from the International Association of Currency. On May 15, 2024, Rosbert Humphrey, Director of Currency Management at the ECCB, accepted the award on behalf of the institution at an awards ceremony held in Texas, United States. The ECCB released the $2 commemorative banknote on December 1, 2023, as part of its 40th anniversary celebrations. The banknote bears the image of legendary cricketer Sir Vivian Richards of Antigua and Barbuda. Governor of ECCB Timothy N.J. Antoine said the institution was thrilled to receive the two global awards, thus honoring the legendary cricketer Sir Vivian Richards.
We are so pleased that once again our central bank has been formally recognized globally for our currency. The $2 note is very special. It, in fact, is a commemorative note that we did for 40th anniversary celebrations last year. But it is historic because, in fact, it is the very first note issued by our central bank without the image of the British monarch. But more than that, the image that $2 note bears is the image of the iconic Sir Vivian Richards. And I don't need to tell you how well-renowned and beloved Sir Viv is as a master blaster. And it is really pleasing to see the response to that $2 banknote at home and abroad. Only a few weeks ago, I received a note from someone in Australia saying to us, this is the most beautiful note she has ever seen. We've also had feedback from India. And of course, I know the people of the Caribbean, the Eastern Caribbean, Antigua and Barbuda are exceptionally proud of Sir Viv. So there are many compelling reasons why our central bank is very pleased with these two awards.
The ECCB's $2 commemorative banknote was selected from a pool of almost 100 newly designed and widely circulated banknotes released in 2023 from across 15 countries representing 3 continents: Africa, Asia, and South America. 5 island nations and the Middle East were nominated for the award. Antoine expressed gratitude to the individuals, groups, and institutions that played a role in ensuring that the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank received those additional global recognitions.
And I want to take this opportunity to recognize again our Director of Currency, Mr. Rosbert Humphrey, for his leadership in this regard, and the rest of the team in our currency department. Also recognize our Deputy Governor, Dr. Vala Henry, and the planning team for our 40th anniversary celebrations, and our printer, our long-standing partner, De La Rue, with whom we worked to have these notes designed and produced within the time that was required. And also to recognize those persons who supported, even voted for ECCB to receive this award. So I want to thank IACA, International Association of Currency Affairs, the International Banknote Society, De La Rue, of course our team here at ECCB, and all involved in what has been a very, very rewarding collaboration. And again, I express my delight with these awards received by our Eastern Caribbean Central Bank.
Governor Antoine said the recognitions that the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank received is an encouragement for the bank to work harder for the people of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union.
In regional news, Vibes Cartel and co-accused to remain behind bars. CARICOM welcomes appointment of new Prime Minister in Haiti. Those reports and more from Carib Update.
The heads of government of CARICOM welcomed the news of the designation of a transitional prime minister in Haiti. Gary Coney was unanimously elected by the Transitional Presidential Council on Wednesday. Aware that there are still many challenges ahead, CARICOM expresses its support for the new prime minister designate and reiterates its commitment of support to the Transitional Presidential Council and to the people of Haiti. Jamaican dancehall entertainer Vibes Cartel and 2 of his 3 co-accused will remain behind bars, at least for now. Supreme Court Judge Justice Andrea Thomason Thursday ruled that they will remain behind bars pending the decision of the Court of Appeal on whether they are to be retried for the murder of Clive Lizard Williams. Attorneys for Cartel, Sean Shonstam Campbell and Andre St. John, had filed a habeas corpus application requesting their release following the recent Privy Council decision to quash their convictions. In refusing their release, Justice Thomas said the charges against the men remain despite their convictions being quashed by the Privy Council, and that the Commissioner of Corrections was not acting in breach of the Corrections Act by continuing to hold them because there was no order from any court for their release. The judge said the habeas corpus application cannot be used to circumvent the proper procedures of the court, adding that it is the Court of Appeal which has the jurisdiction in the matter to decide whether the men be released or retried. The Privy Council overturned the men's conviction on March 14 this year, 10 years after they were convicted on March 13, 2014. It sent the matter back to Jamaica's Court of Appeal, which will, after a June 10 hearing determined whether there should be retrial in the murder case. Vincentian lawyer Kay Bacchus says efforts to keep teacher and sometimes political activist Adriana King in court is an attempt at political persecution. King just won a victory in one of the cases, where she was charged from activities coming out of an anti-government protest action 3 years ago. But she still has other cases before the court, one to begin on Monday, only days after her recent court victory. Bacchus tells Caribbean News the cases being brought against King are motivated by politics. Bacchus accused the prosecutors of abusing the legal process, stating they are, in her words, clutching at straws in their actions against King. Bacchus has not ruled out filing a suit for malicious prosecution. In Guyana, political activist, talk show host, and executive member of the Working People's Alliance, Kiriki Amsterdam, has been charged under the Cybercrime Act for using a computer system to encourage or incite people to commit a criminal offense against the president of Guyana. Amsterdam's legal troubles stem from a call placed by a listener to his Facebook Live program, where the caller said that the president was among 4 persons who should be gotten rid of. Amsterdam, who was granted a $200,000 bail, pleaded not guilty to the charge when he appeared in court on Thursday. As a condition of his bail, he was ordered to surrender his passport. Amsterdam is to return to court on June 10 for statements. Police say Amsterdam is expected to face additional charges, but provided no details. Meanwhile, Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister Anil Nandlal said talk show hosts and others who provide a platform for viewers or listeners to express their opinions are responsible for whatever is said on their programs. The AG admitted that while it is not possible to predict what callers will say on the programs streamed on social media, television, or radio stations, the host nevertheless has a responsibility to discontinue the engagement once hostility is detected. After a 3-year delay, the trial into alleged electoral fraud by former senior functionaries of Guyana's elections body is now set to begin on July 29. The trial faced numerous delays but is now clear to begin following a ruling by Chief Justice Roxanne George. She ruled that the constitutional rights of former Chief Election Officer Keith Lowenfield and his deputy Roxanne Myers to a fair trial would not be violated by the Representation of the People Act, which prohibits disclosure of Guyana Elections Commission meetings. Leader of the People's National Congress Reform in Guyana, Aubrey Norton, is denying that a party group was expelled from the PNCR. He was making reference to the party's decision to de-recognize the North American region for refusing to take instructions or directions from the party's Central Executive Committee and General Council. Norton said party groups in the United States were reporting directly to the party's headquarters in Guyana, raising fresh concerns about compliance with United States law. The PNCR leader and CEC members Amanza Walton Desir and Dr. Gary Best did not advise on the implications for the United States Foreign Agents Registration Act, but on the rules that were being developed. A Virginia man narrowly escaped a lengthy prison sentence after being caught with ammunition in Turks and Caicos during a bachelor party trip. Tyler Wenrich, a 31-year-old emergency medical technician, found himself in hot water when security discovered 2 9mm rounds in his possession during a routine check at the Grand Turk port. Despite pleading guilty on 2 counts of possession of ammunition, Wenrich's fate took a surprising turn during his sentencing on Tuesday. Instead of facing a potential 12-year jail term, the judge handed down a 3-week prison sentence, which Wenrich had already served since his arrest. Additionally, he was fined $9,000 and allowed to return home. Wenrich claimed he had inadvertently left the ammunition in his possession after a day at the shooting range with friends. Several other Americans have faced similar charges in recent months for unwittingly bringing ammunition into Turks and Caicos. Brian Hagerich from Pennsylvania received a suspended sentence and a $6,700 fine for possessing 20 rounds of ammunition. Meanwhile, Ryan Watson, Michael Lee Evans, and Sarita Grier are awaiting the outcome of their cases while on bail. The Bahamas government has presented a tax-free $3.54 billion budget to Parliament, with Prime Minister Philip Davis saying many components of this fiscal package carry forward and build on the measures that his administration has implemented since it came in office in 2021. Davis told legislators that the estimated revenue excludes reimbursement of $75 million from the Grand Bahama Port Authority, as he insisted that the total amount due to the government by the GBPA is $357 million. Davis said that earlier this month, his administration officially launched Cloud Bahamas, which is the name of the new government enterprise resource planning application. He said beginning in January 2025, Cloud Bahamas will bring change and innovation to the public sector.
We now bring you these international reports.
At least 14 Palestinians have been killed in the latest Israeli airstrikes in El Nusayrat and Burej refugee camps in central Gaza. 3 homes were targeted. Israeli forces have also bombed a car in El Nusayrat, killing 3 civilians. All right, Hani Mahmoud joins me from Deir al-Balah in central Gaza via phone. Hani, what more can you tell us about the Israeli troops' pullback from northern Gaza?
Yes, well, perhaps the most accurate description of what's going on right now, given the history of this pattern of behavior by the Israeli military, it's nothing more than a tactical withdrawal, still giving the Israeli military and its occupying forces on the ground the upper hand in maneuvering and reoccupying areas in the northern part. What's going on right now, the Israeli military within the past early hours of this morning, pulled out from the much of the areas in the northern part, particularly the Jabalia refugee camps, and the position in areas that is still giving it the opportunity and the ability to get back to it whenever it decides to be on the ground. But in doing so, it just left the trails of devastation and destruction to the refugee camp. We're talking about up to 70% of the Jabalia refugee camp has been turned into a pile of ruins that includes the public facilities, including schools and hospitals and clinics, as well as the infrastructure, the residential homes. A particular area in the Jabalia refugee camp, it used to be a thriving commercial area at the heart of the refugee camp, has been turned into more of a wasteland. The people are going back to check on their homes, to inspect on what they are able to salvage from these residential homes, but it's all in vain. There is nothing to salvage, as it's either destroyed, severely damaged, or was set on fire by the Israeli military. Right now, what paramedics and civil defense are doing, they're trying to collect the bodies in areas that they were not able to reach within the past weeks. The past 20 days have been very difficult. Relentless air attacks and heavy artillery shelling prevented paramedics, civil defense, and volunteers to get to these areas, remove bodies. As of today and within the past couple hours, they've been able to recover some of these bodies either from the streets or from under the rubble. They are largely deceased and been all transferred to a Kamal Adwan hospital and other health facilities that are, by the way, have been completely pushed out of service. When we talk about healthcare facilities in the northern part, they're nothing but a standing skeleton now. They don't offer any medical services whatsoever. We are literally talking about a complete cessation of medical services in the northern part, and they serve right now nothing more of a morgue for the bodies that are removed from the streets or from under the rubble. The Israeli military withdrew from the areas, but did not announce, which is very important right now, it did not announce an end of the military operations in northern part, which means there is a chance that it's going back again, and the likelihood of killing more people, causing more destruction are very high.
Are very high. And Hani, we understand that overnight there were more intense Israeli airstrikes elsewhere?
Yes, overnight attacks in the central area continues to cause more tragedies and create more miserable conditions for an already traumatized, displaced populations. The two families in the two separate attacks that were targeted happen to be displaced families evacuated all the way within the past week from the Rafah all the way to the central area seeking shelters in one of the residential homes. There are 11 people have been killed, and majority of them men and children. And as we arrived to the site here at the hospital for our reports, we found remaining family members, including some of those with light injuries, were here trying to perform the prayer and say goodbye to family members who were killed in the attacks. Civil defense crew members told us that there's still more people under the rubble. We're talking about at least a 3-story building, and the bomb was quite massive. Not only destroyed this house, but also causing a great deal of damage to the surrounding areas, pushing people into further internal displacement. On a separate attack, a car that was carrying 3 family members who just turned their kitchen, that's a private business, into a point for free meal distribution for displaced families, were killed on their way to an area that is better known among Gazan here as a tikiya, place to offer free meals for displaced families. They were killed as they were preparing free meals for these displaced families.
For the first time, the US has given Ukraine permission to use American weapons to strike Russian territory, but only near the Kharkiv region. Russia has been intensifying its attacks against Ukraine's second biggest city in recent weeks. The local authorities say 3 people have been killed in strikes overnight. Well, discussions on whether Kyiv should be allowed to use Western weapons against targets in Russia has dominated debate in recent weeks. Ukraine and some of its allies say it needs to hit troop concentrations and missile launch sites across the border. Here's the NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg speaking.
We need to remember what this is. This is a war of aggression. Russia has attacked another country, violated international law, invaded Ukraine, and Ukraine has the right for self-defense, and that includes also the right to strike legitimate military targets inside Russia. And let me add to that, this is even more urgent as we see that Russia has opened a new front. They have attacked now again from the north into the Kharkiv region, and the borderline and the front line is more or less the same. So they are hitting Ukraine with missiles, with artillery based inside Russia. And of course, Ukraine must be able to hit back and to defend themselves. This is part of the right for self-defense.
Let's speak to our correspondent Jean McKenzie in Kyiv. And Jean, what's the reaction been there to the fact that President Biden is now saying he will allow Ukraine to use US weapons in Russia, but albeit in a limited way?
This is a hugely significant step by the US and by President Biden, and it is something that Zelensky has really been pushing on for the past few weeks, as have other countries in Europe. And Biden has, until this moment, stood firm throughout this war, saying that, US weapons should only be used to strike Russian targets inside Ukraine or inside the Russian-occupied parts of Ukraine, and should not be used to strike into Russia itself. And the reason for this is that President Biden has been fearful for escalating this conflict, worried that Russia might perceive Ukraine using Western weapons into Russia as an attack on Russia by the United States or by NATO. But clearly the situation on the battlefield over the last month has changed. We've seen Russian troops go into this Kharkiv region in the northeast of the country, take villages, and the Russians are now using, Russian territory to launch attacks into the Kharkiv region that are devastating. And Zelensky has essentially said that his troops have had to watch these attacks be mounted, and there is nothing that they can do until the missiles and the bombs enter Ukrainian territory. He has said essentially that troops are fighting with one hand behind their back. But as you say, the US has issued very strict rules on what Ukraine is going to be able to do now with these US weapons. So it can only use the weapons to strike over the border in this Kharkiv Kharkiv region where they are being attacked from. So they can't use these weapons on other areas of the front, and crucially they cannot use these long-range US missiles to strike deep into the heart of Russian territory. We know the Ukrainians so far have been using their own drones to strike critical infrastructure in Russia, like power stations and oil refineries. Now this they will not be able to do with these US weapons, but it should help them defend against these glide bombs, which have caused so much devastation in Ukraine over the past couple of months. You know, these are bombs that are launched from Russian planes in Russian territories into Ukrainian territory, and Ukraine will now have more ability to defend against these.
And given the restrictions you mentioned, how quickly do you think this might affect the course of the war if this policy change is implemented?
Well, certainly the Ukrainians have been saying that this will make a big difference to them, and this area along the Kharkiv region is the area where, you know, Ukraine has really been feeling the heat from Russia, and that is because it is the only area really where the Russians are able to sit along the border and launch these attacks. So I think the Ukrainians are fairly confident that this is going to make a difference.
And Donald Trump's conviction has put the spotlight on rules in the U.S. on voting by convicted felons. Well, 9 of its 50 states impose lifetime voting bans on those who are convicted. One of them is Florida. Mr. Trump resides at his Mar-a-Lago estate there, and it's where he's registered to vote. More than 1 million people in the state are barred from voting because of felony convictions. But because of Florida's laws on felony convictions that happen out of the state, he'll still be able to cast a ballot in November. And there's no law that prohibits a felon from running for president or serving in office. But because his convictions happened in a state court, Trump cannot pardon himself if he becomes president. That right only applies to federal crimes. All right, joining me now is Brendan O'Connor. He is a professor of U.S. politics and U.S. foreign relations at the University of Sydney, and he joins me from Sydney. Good to have you with us, sir. There's so much to unpack here, and everybody's still kind of coming to grips with this verdict. How do you think this may play out over the next couple of days and months?
Obviously, a major drama in the American news, huge international interest. But the big question is, will it change any voters' minds? Is there a group of Trump voters who thought they would support Trump before this guilty verdict? The opinion polling suggests there's a very small number of people who might fall into that category, whether they are people in the most important states in the United States where this election in November will be decided. It's very hard to tell, but I think most people have already kind of got a very strong view of Trump, and this conviction isn't going to profoundly change opinions.
All right, so you believe that this does not rule out his chances of becoming the next U.S. president, potentially?
No. I mean, I think people are pretty aware that Donald Trump plays pretty fast and loose with the truth, with the law, his relationship with women, many would question. So I think these things are already well known, and this verdict will not surprise a lot of people in the United States. It's historic because he's the first president to be charged with a felon offense, but I don't think it will profoundly change the election outcome where Trump is at the moment ahead in the polls.
What do you make of the reaction from the White House and the GOP?
Well, the Republicans, and if you look at the sort of Fox News outlets and whatnot, are presenting this as a conspiracy led by the White House, that this is orchestrated offensive against Donald Trump to stop him becoming president. The White House itself, I think, wants to see this as something that it can use in the campaign, but not overplay. If it was to put all its eggs in the basket of Trump as a felon, you can't elect him, I don't think that would be a successful strategy. The White House has, I think, got to convince American voters that the economy is recovering. I think that's a real vulnerability for Joe Biden. So as dramatic as the scenes have been in New York today, there is a sort of popular culture element to this which might not translate into voting.
Mm-hmm. Now, come July 11th, when the sentencing will take place, what are the chances that we could see the former president of the United States be sent to prison?
Well, I think for many people that's a delicious thought, and to see Trump run behind bars, I don't think that's a huge possibility. It is possible he could still run for the presidency from jail, but I think it's more likely he'll have serve his sentence in the community He won't be put in jail, but this will hang over him for the next couple of months, and I suppose will create a kind of frenzy on the Trump side, his legal team making all sorts of spurious claims about this being, attempt to push the election to Biden's side and be and something which is a conspiracy against Donald Trump.
And he's got even more legal woes.
Boeing has failed to get the immediate go-ahead from the Federal Aviation Administration to increase 737 MAX production. The FAA said on Thursday, after a 3-hour meeting with the plane maker's top executives, that it would work with Boeing over the coming months to understand its quality and safety improvement. Boeing was barred in February from boosting 737 MAX production after a door panel blew out during a January flight on a newly made plane. Boeing late on Thursday released an 11-page summary of its improvement plan, outlining 6 critical safety-focused production areas it will address. They include data on employment proficiency, the number of hours needed to address issues, and supplier shortages, which Boeing said will enable them to identify and prevent safety hazards. The FAA said earlier that Boeing had committed to release more plan details, quote, in the interest of transparency and public confidence. Production of the 737 MAX, Boeing's top-selling plane, is vital to the company's finances. Last week, its top finance executive said it will burn rather than generate cash in 2024, due in part to delayed deliveries.
You were listening to the Midday News on WINNFM 98.9. The headlines: Tourism Minister responds to claims that local marketing for music festival falls short.
ECCB receives 2 global awards for its 40th anniversary $2 commemorative banknote.
Vibes cartel and co-accused to remain behind bars. CARICOM welcomes appointment of new Prime Minister in Haiti. Internationally, Israeli forces have pulled out of much of northern Gaza, particularly Jabalia refugee camp. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured. Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
We're almost ready.
Is there?
Okay. I wasn't sure if I'm on, but it appears so. I'm not getting here. No, there's nothing here. Are we live though? Good day, good afternoon, good morning, good evening around the world. It's just about past midday 6, well 1:06 as a matter of fact. We'll be on the second half of today's presentation of Voices. My name is Socrates. And of course, we had to give way for the Prime Minister's press conference this morning. So we got just about 25 minutes or so to share some information with you. We'll do that and much more after heading downtown and giving Caesar his due. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's your boy S.A. Here's your Value Mart Idea Specials, running May 30th to June 12th. Now, our Value Club Blue Tag Specials. General Mills cereals, $14.99. Purex liquid detergent, $15.99. Almond Breeze milk, $9.99. Starkey's tuna water and oil, $3.99. Wishbone salad dressing, $11.99. Stonewich ice cream bars, $19.99. And now, our very low weekly value deals. Hygiene Essential Everyday Peanut Butter, the $8.99. Essential Everyday Oats, quick and old fashioned, $15.99. Hygiene Essential Everyday Salt, plain and iodized, $4.89. Biofy Shampoo and Conditioner, $5.49. Arm & Hammer Deodorant, $8.99. Hygiene Essential Everyday Mac and Cheese, $2.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart!
Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equiline. Spend less on our Essential Everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equiline brand of over-the-counter products. Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less. With our Essential Everyday products and Equiline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
To our many viewers and listeners around the globe, welcome to today's are you on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We have, we're into the second half of today's presentation of Voices. And we have with us in the studio today a young man who goes by the name of Jeff. His last name is what?
Andrade.
Jeff Andrade. And I've asked him to the studios to discuss a topic that's really of interest for the traveling public, mainly those who deal with the taxi trade. There's been some challenges that we've had with the quote-unquote Uber services in St. Kitts Nevis post-COVID. There were questions as to how they were able to operate without the proper license. We had denials from the traffic department, from the Inland Revenue and Tourism, as they didn't know how they became operational. There was the impression that we're in a modern age and we need to embrace all these new services, Uber, blah, 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 and embrace the technology. But we have with us Jeff Andrade. He's here with us to discuss a matter that I was made aware of due to a call from him roughly about 3 weeks ago to discuss The prospect of this service is called St. Kitts Ride. I went, sat with him for about 90 minutes, was impressed with his presentation. I had members of my taxi fraternity who went and met with him, had discussions. And there's been lots of feedback, some positive, some negative, about the various elements of it. What I thought it would be best is to have him come to the studio and speak to it, speak to the whole topic, pardon me, for the many folks who may be interested, who are curious, who wants to know, as they would say, from the horse's mouth, what the program is all about, how we can improve the service industry in terms of the taxi trade, pros and cons. We have a short time today, but at some point we're going to open up the lines for questions from the public. Just an engaging conversation. So, Jeff, welcome to the studios of WIN FM. And as I said, I sat with you roughly about 3 weeks ago. I would like for you to share, if you can, as much as possible, given our time constraints, with the public about the app that you've created, how it's designed to help. A little concerns, I think that it's going to hurt. It's all yours. The mic is yours.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me on today, Socrates. I really appreciate it. And it's a great opportunity because essentially I created a ride-sharing app that will be accessible to all and will really help the tourism and transportation industry in St. Kitts and Nevis. Essentially, the way it works is riders can sign up, and within a click or two of a button, they'll be able to request a taxi, and that will then notify all the taxi operators that are within 2 kilometers of that location. And essentially, they can go on their phone, they'll get the notification, they click the notification, and they can accept the ride. It'll show them all the information about the rider's name, the pickup location, the drop-off location, and the price of the fare in US dollars and EC dollars. And then once they accept the ride, they can head over, make the pickup. They'll know who the person is when they get into the ride, and then take them to their destination. And what's really amazing about it, it works very seamlessly, very easy to use, and provides a whole bunch of features that you don't normally get if you're operating on your own. For example, it's really going to create a lot of rides for drivers that instead of having to wait in the long lines and stuff like that, they'll be able to just get a notification on their phone and be able to accept a ride right there. It's going to allow drivers to accept credit card payments, which I know a lot of them that I've spoken with currently don't accept. It's going to help drivers build up their reputation. So as soon as the ride is done, the rider is immediately prompted to leave a review about the driver's performance, as well as leave a tip. So this will really help get more rides and more tips for the drivers. It provides a sense of security because when the drivers are taking somebody, they're being tracked. So if there was ever anything that came up from that, at least we have some kind of information of how that all went down. It also provides the drivers with security. They don't have to give up their phone number or anything. They can securely message through the app to the rider and protect themselves that way. So a lot of really good features for the drivers as well as the riders. I know a personal experience of mine, or a couple I'd like to quickly share, but one, I was with my family and needed a ride to the airport, and a taxi had picked me up, and he first made a pass around the car, and this was at overtaking. This was at 6 in the morning, and I had my daughter and wife in the car, and I told him, please don't do that. We're in no rush whatsoever. And then right away, he does it again around a blind corner. And sure enough, another driver was coming up.
I should have told you, though, there's a camera covering you, and you have somewhat turned away from the camera. So
oh, sure. Sorry, I have no idea.
Hands on sight.
Okay, great. Yeah. So Yeah, so basically, I was very upset about it, but at the time, I wasn't even aware of the taxi associations. And essentially, this person, I don't even know his name, kind of got away with it scot-free with no repercussions. And, the app essentially allows for those types of things to be addressed a lot more easy because now that person is writing a review and we have access to that and can certainly speak with the drivers about that type of bad driving. And I'll give you another quick example. This was not too long ago, a few months ago, but I was in Keon at my daughter's, kind of Olympics or track and field meet, I guess you'd call it. And I needed to get home from there, and I'd called the taxi association in Frigate Bay and asked them if they can please send me a ride. And they said, you have to take a bus. And I'm like, well, I'm not familiar with the buses and how they run.
And you're calling for taxi service.
And I'm calling for a taxi service, and I need to get to Frigate Bay, and I know they don't run in Frigate Bay. I'm like, it doesn't matter what it costs. I'll pay. I just need to get to Frigate Bay right away. And essentially, they said, sorry, we can't pick you up. You have to take a bus. So, and then finally, one third quick experience was just another one where I got picked up. This was pre-COVID. And I took some friends. We were going to Salt Plage, and the taxi driver tried to overcharge me, not realizing I was a local here because I got picked up from a hotel. And I knew that I was being overcharged because I was aware of the taxi rates. So,
okay. So these are some of the rationales why you decide to put this play in.
Yes.
How do you respond to the, well, you haven't heard this from me, but I was told by someone that you're actually working with John Giuliani to put this in place. So it's actually his thing. You're just a front for him. And how close to the Uber model is this? And then I want you to explain that this, what you're offering, is really for bona fide, qualified taxi drivers, not for general public. Because we're pressed for time, I just want to walk you through those points as quick as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So John Giuliani has nothing to do with this. I'm not sure where you heard that from. I've done this all on my own, and this is just through my own experience building software and being in the water sports business here at Reggae Beach for the past 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. I have many taxi drivers that I've known for a long time, and I've heard their stories and different things over the years. And then through my own experiences, gave me the idea to create this.
But you're actually in marketing, that's your thing. That's a platform.
Yeah, so basically what I've done is I'm a marketing specialist. I simply created a platform that allows riders to connect with drivers, and I'm simply connecting the two together in an easier way, in an online way that they didn't really have access to. To go to your other question in regards to how is this related to Uber, this has nothing to do with Uber. It's
officially there are no Ubers in St. Kitts. That service doesn't.
Officially, there's technically no Ubers, but based on my findings, it seems like this is quite a growing business. Again, it has nothing to do with St. Kitts Ride. It's more about we use the technology that's similar to Uber in the sense that a rider can go on and call a ride, but we only use certified, licensed, and insured taxi operators, and each one of them will be vetted before they can get approved and be able to use the app.
Respond to the accusation or the perception that this will be undermining the taxi industry.
Yes, so essentially, this is just going to grow the taxi industry. Like I said, we're trying to get taxi drivers, a lot of the complaints that I heard from them or things that I've known to be true is that, a few of them are in with the circles at either the Park Hyatt or the Marriott, and those select few get all the calls. And I'm not sure if this is accurate, but I've heard there's over 400 to 500 taxi operators in St. Kitts and Nevis. So, those few that are getting called by the same hotels all the time, that leaves a lot of people that don't really have the marketing skills that I have, don't have the money to start up their own website, don't didn't put themselves on TripAdvisor and do all these other things. And now they'll still be able to have access to the marketing and service that I'm providing by easily signing up and submitting their documents.
What's the cost to them?
So the way it works is I've done my best to keep the taxi rates essentially as close as I could to what they are now. There is a difference because the way it works now is it's kind of based on an area, from one area to another area, where our app is more precise. It's actually per kilometer. So for example, if you're going from Reggae Beach to Spice Mill, that's going to be a little bit less expensive than going from Port Zante
downtown to
Spice Mill versus going from downtown to Reggae Beach. It's going to be a little bit more expensive going to Reggae Beach because you're traveling further. So it's more exact, and it's based on a per kilometer rate. Now, we use, there's 20% that comes from the overall fare that goes towards the St. Kitts Ride system, and 5% of that is going towards PayPal, and that's so that we can use the best and most secure, safest system for payment.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 15%, which is going to be allocated to marketing and operating the app. So basically, every time somebody presses a button, every time we have to send an email or notification, that costs a bit of money. And we're about to launch. I'm hoping to launch as early as Monday next week. And essentially, I've already spent thousands of dollars getting the app to this development. That doesn't even include my time, as well as the marketing that I intend to do. And we've already done some marketing, and I've had some people see our Facebook ads, and this brought me to the big Uber talk of the day. Yeah, and I was very surprised at how many people applied to become drivers for me. And I asked them, sure, no problem, just you have to apply. And I asked them if they're a certified, licensed, insured taxi operator. And they told me, no, they're Uber drivers. And I'm a Uber user, and I know that if I go on Uber, you can't get a ride here because it doesn't work.
In the meetings you've had with the taxi drivers, I know there was some outreach by yourself down at the taxi stand in Frigate Bay. You called me. I got members of my association to meet with you, and that was part of the discussion, that this only is really for qualified, fully operational and vetted taxi drivers.
Exactly.
Okay, you have to present your insurance, your registration, your expiry date for insurance. So there are those who say that you just use this as a platform until you get up and running, and then like some other companies, you're going to get your own vehicles in. That's some of the things that's up there.
Yeah.
How do you respond to that? Because you did reach out to taxi drivers. I wasn't going to ask you how that went, but that was it. They put two taxi drivers, not to the general public, not to every Joe Blow who has a vehicle, who wants to sign up, because we discussed insurance issue with that, or lack of insurance.
Right.
Those vehicles are not really licensed for public transport.
Right.
Right. So there's that. There's the issue with some people say that you should go to a tourism authority. You're offering a service.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with having a dialogue with them, but it's really for the benefit of the public using bona fide, qualified taxi drivers.
Exactly.
Not for everybody with a car.
Right.
So we need to clarify that as best we can.
Yeah, so that is 100% the model of the way we're operating, essentially because we don't want to be involved with the liability or the insurance. And, I don't think people understand really what the law is here, that if you don't have a license to take passengers for a fare, you simply aren't able to. And people aren't realizing that if they were to hire one of these private Ubers and they were to get into an accident, especially a life-threatening accident, they're certainly not going to be covered by the insurance. And it's insurance's job to have the best law firms and the best team working for them to make sure that they do not have to pay out the claims. That's what they do. So as soon as they see that person had any kind of ad or anything on Facebook or any kind of something public about this, or the driver is like, says that, the passenger that's injured says, oh, I paid this person, that's going to be big trouble for the drivers, and also the passenger might not get covered by the insurance.
There was a question from one of the persons who engaged you in conversation over at Reggae Beach a few weeks ago, and she was concerned about contracts because in the past, the taxi fraternity has been shafted by persons or companies who we had contracts with, but there was no really serious follow-up. How do you respond to that?
So currently we don't have any contracts set up. We do have terms and conditions page, and it is laid out, also driver info page, how everything works. We're looking to work with the drivers and find out the best practices. We can certainly do up a contract. I want to just quickly respond to the other question about, you mentioned somebody said, oh, what if you start getting your own cars and doing this? Again, that's not our intention at all. I am simply a marketing company and connecting people that need rides with taxis that need to give rides. So we have no intention in getting our own taxis and hiring drivers. That's not the business I'm in. That's not what I'm trying to do. I know it's not like there's limited drivers. We know that there's enough drivers. I know that these people are hungry to work, especially because our season is so short here. I'm also in the tourism business, and I realize that we go through these droughts where there's not so much business. So there's no need for me to do that, to undercut, to make a little bit of extra money. It's really about trying to serve the customers, to get reliable, fair pricing, get somebody there quickly from all areas of the island, and not have them go through the same experiences that I did.
Pre-booking features.
Yes. So essentially, there's two types of fares currently set up, and they can book that they need a ride right now, and that goes to the available fares, and then they can also schedule for rides in the future. We're planning to market to people that are coming to St. Kitts as well as locals, and sometimes somebody wants to schedule a ride for the future, so they have the ability to schedule rides in the future, or if they need a ride right away, they can get a ride right away.
This business goes once again to only fully operational and qualified taxi drivers.
Fully insured, licensed,
fully insured,
and certified, meaning that they have their official taxi license. And this all needs to be submitted, and you can quickly do that on the settings page. You'll have to take a photo of your license, your insurance, and all that, the documents that it requires. And then this will then go through St. Kitts Tourism, and I will verify with them that these people have the licenses and that everything is legit. And then it's also
verification through the tourism authority. Contacts. How does one get in touch with you?
They can go to stkitsride.com. That's stkittsride.com. That's probably the best way. We also have a Facebook and Instagram page. You can also message us on that.
No, that's for linking up. What about people who want to have a conversation with you to follow up on, is there a number to contact you by?
Yeah, my number is 869-762-1111. I also have WhatsApp. And I really, I don't know if we have time to take any callers or if there is any callers. But
we're out of time, actually. It ends at 1:30. The program runs from 11 to 1:30 because of the PM's press conference. That is why I still have you come. And we had roughly 28 minutes to just run through this. And time flies.
Okay, so I'll go through that again. 1-869-762-1111. I can reach me on WhatsApp. I'd be happy to meet with anybody, chat with anybody. This is a really good service. It's really connects people, connects drivers. It allows you to get more tips because of how easy it is to get a tip with it. And it automatically... The person doesn't have the excuse, oh, I only have $1 in my pocket, or I don't have change, or I don't have small bills. There's also the one, added feature. I had drivers tell me sometimes people call them from the strip and they go there and they pick them up late at 2 a.m. and then they can't find the person. They can't get a hold of the person. So this stuff is all avoided with the app because the customer has to pay first. And that kind of solves that issue. So it's a really great service. We're looking to go live on Monday. sign up as drivers, riders, and one other quick thing for all the people that are not taxi drivers but want to use the service and who are interested in signing up as riders, we've also got a 15% discount for all local people. So if you sign up with a local 869 number, you will get 15% off all rides. So it's a really great service, and we're interested in trying to really get locals, because we know a lot of them don't have vehicles and some of them might want to get to the beaches on the weekend, and we look forward to setting up some other extra features and rides to get people moving around St. Kitts more easily.
Okay, so once again, your name is and your contacts are, and we really out of time, but you did indicate that you're getting feedback that there's another Uber service coming aboard. But this, what you put in is really for taxi drivers.
Yes. Again, not for private drivers, for taxi drivers.
Okay. We do have to, what do you say, have a call? We got to wrap to this. So I want to thank those folks, the viewers and listeners who were able to log on for the last few minutes of today's presentation of Voices, which just the last half hour of it. Thank you once again for joining us, and looking forward to having future dialogue, say, for Monday coming. I'll be in the house, and we'll have a full slate of topics. And we'll take it from there today. So thanks, Jeff, for coming aboard, coming on to the studios. And for viewers and listeners, once again, have yourself a most wonderful weekend, and we see you on the other side.
Here's your Value Mart Idea Specials running